Pray silence for the Prime Minister.
My Lord Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, whether by virtue of history or accident of geography, our country has always looked out to the world. I was born in Southampton, a port city the Victorians called the gateway to the world, where the Mayflower set sail, where Spitfires were built and Allied troops embarked on D-Day. And just as we look out to the world, so the world often looks to Britain. Like many others, my grandparents came to the UK via East Africa and the Indian subcontinent and made their lives here. In recent years, we've welcomed thousands of people from Hong Kong, Afghanistan and Ukraine. We're a country that stands up for our values, that defends democracy by actions, not just words. A country that commits not just our resources, but our ingenuity to better the lives of others and ourselves. Our adversaries and competitors plan for the long term. After years of pushing at the boundaries, Russia is challenging the fundamental principles of the UN Charter. China is conspicuously competing for global influence, using all the levers of state power. Now, in the face of these challenges, short-termism or wishful thinking will not suffice. We can't depend on Cold War arguments or approaches, or mere sentimentality about our past. So we will make an evolutionary leap in our approach. This means being stronger in defending our values and the openness on which our prosperity depends. It means delivering a stronger economy at home as the foundation of our strength abroad. And it means standing up to our competitors, not with grand rhetoric, but with robust pragmatism. Now, we will do all this not only through our diplomatic expertise, science and technology leadership, and investment in defence and security, but by dramatically increasing the quality and depth of our partnerships with like-minded allies around the world. We also need to evolve our approach to China. Now, let's be clear, the so-called golden era is over, along with the naive idea that trade would automatically lead to social and political reform. But nor should we rely on simplistic Cold War rhetoric. We recognise China poses a systemic challenge to our values and interests, a challenge that grows more acute as it moves towards even greater authoritarianism. Instead of listening to their people's protests, the Chinese government has chosen to crack down further, including by assaulting a BBC journalist. The media and our parliamentarians must be able to highlight these issues without sanction, including calling out abuses in Xinjiang and the curtailment of freedom in Hong Kong. Now, of course, we cannot simply ignore China's significance in world affairs, to global economic stability or issues like climate change. The US, Canada, Australia, Japan, and many others understand this too. So together, we'll manage this sharpening competition, including with diplomacy and engagement. And much of this is about dramatically improving our resilience, particularly our economic security. In Kyiv, I just saw how Russia's focus is shifting from bruising encounters on the battlefield to brutalizing the civilian population. It was written in the scarred buildings and the piles of rubble lining the streets, in the stories of the first responders I met from liberated Kherson, from the torture chambers to the booby traps left in children's toys. As the world comes together to watch the World Cup, I saw how an explosive device had been hidden inside a child's football, seeking to make it a weapon of war. It defies belief. So be in no doubt we will stand with Ukraine for as long as it takes. Next year we will maintain or even increase our military aid, and we will provide new support for air defence to protect the Ukrainian people and the critical infrastructure they rely on. By protecting Ukraine, we protect ourselves. Under my leadership, we won't choose the status quo. We will do things differently. We will evolve, anchored always by our enduring belief in freedom, openness, and the rule of law, and confident that in this moment of challenge and competition, our interests will be protected and our values will always prevail.